Now, joining us is the founder of the Von Mises Institute, the head of the Von Mises Institute, former Ron Paul chief of staff, libertarian icon, Lew Rockwell of LewRockwell.com. I just gave him a basic briefing. I know he's already aware of this, but the word is they're going to try executive orders to use all of Homeland Security to demonize guns, to harass gun shops and gun owners. I've talked to several gun shop owners off record who are getting me the documents. ATF's coming in and saying orders are about to come down. We know this happened last year. You're going to do what we say or else. So at that point, we've got to move for impeachment. I've entered public articles of impeachment that list with the law so others can use it. Members of Congress are picking that up and others and are saying we need to start impeachment now. Stockman of Texas and others. Rand Paul is vowing to, quote, torpedo it. And he's talking about impeachment. Rand Paul vows to torpedo Obama executive orders. New legislation would nullify gun control dictates. It's time to get on the offensive. Lew Rockwell, is this not, in your 40-something years of fighting tyranny, is this the greatest assault you've ever seen? I mean, I've never seen rhetoric like this. Are we moving into DEFCON 1?
Well, because there have been many periods in American history when the government has massively expanded and stolen the people's liberties. I mean, usually during wartime, the New Deal, the Great Society. This is another one, and certainly this is an extraordinary moment. All governments would like to be totalitarian. They all would like to have total control every dime we have, everything we do in our life, everything we think, everything we say, our businesses, our homes, our children, and so they want it all. Whenever there's a chance. Something like this Newton shooting and the horrible things that happened there, they use it. But of course, they don't care about, so-called gun violence. After all, Barack Obama is the leader of, the world headquarters of gun violence in the history of the world, the U.S. government. I mean, how many people, and he signs, of course, the kill orders, and the U.S. government employs millions of people to shoot other people. I mean, that's their main deal in life. Whether it's in Afghanistan or Iraq or Yemen or Syria or, they hope Iran and all these other countries, they're shooting people. And when they talk about what might be encouraging violence, is it video games, is it TV, Hollywood? And I must say I'm not a big fan of some of this stuff, although people should be, free speech does apply. But how about the glorification of war, the glorification of cops, the glorification of soldiers, the glorification of government gun violence? So none of these people are anti-gun or anti-gun violence. They're anti-private people owning guns. And anybody who knows people who own guns, they are not pro-violence. The last thing they want to do in their life is shoot somebody. There are people, of course, who like to shoot people. They work for the government. But private people with guns don't want to have to use them. They only want to have to use them if their back is against the wall, like that homemaker in Georgia the other day, she was backed up into the attic where their two little 9-year-old twins, and then finally shot the guy and got him to run away and avoiding rape.
That's right. You notice that in these cases that happen, we hear about every week but never make national news, every day, most days, the woman's on 911. Okay, he's busting down the front door. I'm going in the bathroom. Then they're busting down the bathroom door, and the 911's like, don't shoot him, and then the woman shoots him. The gun owners always try to hold back, but we have guns because we're not going to be victims.
No, that's right. It's like the old joke, and it may be actually a true story about a guy who called up 911 and said, I've got prowlers in the yard. And they said, oh, we'll be out, in 25 minutes or whatever. And then he calls back and says, oh, don't worry, I shot them. And of course, the cops are there in just a minute. So they don't want us defending ourselves. Government wants its monopoly. The cops, aside from the few good guys like the sheriff you were talking to, most cops don't want people exercising self-defense. They only want that to be a government monopoly. They want to take away our guns for self-defense, and of course they want to take it for reasons of tyranny, the same reasons that governments all over the world, and you had some great photos of Hitler and Stalin and Mao and these guys using children in their propaganda exercises, just like Barack Obama did recently. It was Hannah Arendt who said, anytime politicians start talking about your children, your country is on the road to totalitarianism.
Well, that's right. I haven't even mentioned.
Obama says the kids in Newtown are our kids. They're not his kids. He's got 2 kids. Nobody else's children are his children. So, but it's a totalitarian move. He wants to be the chief minister, the chief religious figure, the chief protector. We're all supposed to focus on him. We're supposed to give him our guns, give him our freedom, give him our money, bow down, And he wants to be the pharaoh. But we don't have to allow it. And it's wonderful to see, Alex, all the opposition that you're leading among the American people, refusing to have this happen to us.
Well, you're right. And what you're mentioning is drudgereport.com. It's in the middle column. Yesterday, I was sitting around with Kurt Nimmo, and we were looking at images of Hitler and Stalin and Mao and everybody else and Saddam Hussein using children. So I just said, well, let's just post it with Obama high-fiving the kids. And it's so amazing that he said, I'm going to take the guns for you, kid. Like, he's the good guy. He's the North Korean dear leader. He's the guardian of the society. He's the Hugo Chavez. He's the Mao Zedong. I mean, this is right out of a textbook, and if you don't turn your guns in, you're not for the children. And that article is up at drudgereport.com showing Stalin, who said that he did all he did for the children. In fact, he was known as the great father steel. He was known as the man of steel, the father of steel. Well, you know what? Barack Obama is not my father. I'm my father. What did you think of, we're going to go to break, but Bob Schaefer's saying that, our president beat Hitler. I mean, our men beat Hitler, not the government. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does it matter that Hitler was a big gun controller? No, of course not. The facts don't matter. Schaefer's just a he might as well be broadcasting for Radio Berlin or Radio Moscow or Radio Havana or any of these other. I mean, he's just a representative of the state media, giving out state propaganda, spreading the lies. And of course, as you've pointed out, we're living under such unbelievable intensive media attempts to control our minds, to make us all fear private guns and think that government guns are the way to save it.
Incredible. I want to hear where you think this is going. The man, Lew Rockwell, is our guest. We'll be right back. Alex Jones here with a very important announcement for truth seekers. We've carried a lot of amazing films and books over the years on the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And out of all the titles we've carried, one stands out because it is just so chillingly convincing. And that's Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Gilbert, available at Infowars.com. This film exposes the fraud that Obama is like nothing I've seen. If you want to know who Obama's real daddy is, this is the film for you. Don't forget, your purchase supports our broadcast and our growing media network. You'll also find at InfoWarsShop.com, None Dare Call It Conspiracy by Gary Allen, the book that woke me up. We're also carrying Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21 by Rosa Corey. This book is coffin nails to the globalist takeover. The Greater Good, the most professional and up-to-date film I've ever seen exposing the scourge that is vaccines. These titles and a lot more are all available at InfoWarsShop.com.
There will be pundits and politicians and special interest lobbyists publicly warning of a tyrannical, all-out assault on liberty. Not because that's true, but because they want to gin up fear or higher ratings or revenue for themselves.
Did you hear that? He is directly going after yours truly, obviously, from the Piers Morgan interview, pundits, that here I am making money selling T-shirts, water filters, sponsors. This is the government that takes your money and gives it to MSNBC. Do you know they've been giving government money? That's come out to push tyranny. And then we're immoral. And he goes on to say, we've given no solutions. Really? Get the kids off these drugs that have been linked to it directly. Arm people in the schools. We shouldn't have big government training camps anyways. Lew Rockwell of LewRockwell.com. We've gotten to a point where they're having to respond to us now. I'll put you on the hot seat. I want your real answer. Do you think it was effective to get in Piers Morgan's face and go, look, this isn't about child safety. This is about tyranny and enslavement. Because if it wasn't effective, why then are they responding to it?
Well, Alan, Alex, that I think was the biggest ratings that bird has ever had.
It was.
And we know that his ratings are otherwise in the toilet. And he probably, if he weren't so politically correct and so useful to the regime as a propagandist, he probably would have been sent back to England or some other place long before this, because he doesn't have viewers except when you're on.
Absolutely. But I mean, isn't it effective? You're gentlemanly, but you're also hard hitting. They always call us kooks no matter what we do. Isn't it effective to go ahead and get aggressive and back in their faces?
Sure. You got to speak truth to power, right? And this guy represents the state media. I mean, he's no different from somebody who wrote for Pravda or was on, Moscow state television in the Soviet days. He's nothing but a shill for the regime. He's a professional liar. He's paid to lie for the government. Same with Bob Schieffer, all of these people. So not only should we speak the truth to them, but sure, I'm for dissing them because they don't deserve respect. They're very bad people. They're making vast amounts of money for doing evil. So of course, we should speak the truth to them, and we should be frank with them, and we should tell them exactly. I mean, Piers Morgan is a huge fan, for example, of drone warfare. He's a huge fan of all the U.S. government wars and of course, all the wars of the British Empire. He's for torture. He's for all this stuff. So we're supposed to think he's against violence. I mean, this is a guy who's a champion of violence, but he wants the state to be violent, and of course the state is violence. The state is always the headquarters of violence. I mean, how many babies? We talk about the horror in Newtown. How many babies has the U.S. government killed in its career of mass murder? I mean, I remember back when they were going after Iraq, which did nothing to us. Madeleine
Albright said 500,000 dead children was worth it. She said that on NBC News famously, and they said, 500,000 dead kids, is that good? She goes, yeah, it's good. See, I mean,
500,000 kids that they were deliberately murdered by the U.S. through its murder sanctions, anti-civilian murder sanctions, and also sanctions against food, against medicine designed to starve and sicken these children. 500,000, I mean, has Saddam Hussein ever done anything that bad? I don't know. My guess is no. I mean, the U.S. is really the murder state. It's the assassination state. It's the drone state. And we're supposed to think that Obama cares about violence. He is violence. Every morning he signs his death orders over his scrambled eggs. This is a guy who likes this kind of thing. Like, by the way, everybody who prospers in government likes killing people or sending other people to be killed. They enjoy this. It empowers them. They feel very good about it. They love guns. And as you say, all the power elite have, Bloomberg and Obama and I'm sure Piers Morgan, all these people have armed bodyguards. CNN has got a bunch of armed bodyguards all in their studios. How come that's okay, but some little old lady in a bad area can't have a 22? So that's, but they want to disarm us. They want to control us. They want to hurt us. I'm also afraid, by the way, that they want to stimulate armed resistance in the sense that they would love another Waco or two. Waco, as we have to remember, was about gun control. That's what the whole thing was about.
Oh, I totally agree. They're trying to start a civil war. How do we respond to that?
Well, I think we don't take the bait. So I think we don't respond with violence, and we just state our rights. We buy guns, hold guns, join together with other people who believe in freedom, go to the firing range, make use of them, talk up owning guns, and really spread the word. I think most Americans, despite these little phony polls we're hearing, and never forget that these national polls are designed to tell you what to think, not to tell you what other people think. They're propaganda devices. So when we hear that 189% of the American people, 100% agree with Obama, these are just lies.
It's exactly what Lew Rockwell was just saying. We're going to go to some clips with him as well. If you don't know who Lew Rockwell is, he, of course, is an icon in the movement towards libertarianism. You notice most real studies, university studies, people on the street, just what I've seen, around 60% of Americans call themselves a libertarian. They don't like either party, and our movement is gaining steam. I call it constitutionalist, freedom lover, folks that just want to be left alone, people that are into justice. And that's why the power structure is going after us right now, is because when I see liberal women's magazines, because Austin's more, quote, liberal than most cities in Texas, just because some of the Californian folks have come and taken it over. Not against Californians, but, those kind of socialist types that call themselves liberals. They're not really authoritarians. Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. But I want to get Lew Rockwell's historical take on this, because he's seen a lot and really has written about what he believed was coming. And now, unfortunately, it's unfolding. Women's magazines becoming pro-gun just because no one would buy the magazine unless they did it. Women going out and learning how to shoot. Gun ownership proliferating. Gun sales proliferating. People, self-defense classes proliferating. People are really getting into becoming self-sufficient. There is a rebellion against the nanny state, against all this, and people are really getting into it. And so the globalists are all out assault because gun ownership is a beachhead against the nanny state, against victim disarmament. And that cultural area, one of the few areas of liberty really growing, was getting other areas to grow. It was becoming kind of a central part of a wheel with the spokes out from it. And the establishment has said this. And so, I mean, look at the prepper movement. Look at the all the liberals I know aren't liberals now. They've gone out and bought places in the countryside. They're getting self-sufficient. You heard the sheriff. He said, I go to these liberty meetings now, and it's judges, and it's state reps, and it's doctors, and it's lawyers, and it's writers, and it's former, quote, liberals. They're still liberals. They become real liberals. And so the system is announcing a full-out Homeland Security attack from hundreds of angles, 23 executive orders, massive demonization, arresting people for toy guns, because if they can't shoot this down, they're going to lose. They want to collapse things and make us fully domesticated instead of collapsing things, and then we get off the government heroin and become self-sufficient. Lew Rockwell, your take on that and what you fear they're going to try in the future and how we turn the tide against these people.
Well, Alex, you're right. I mean, there was one little boy tossed out of school for, making a gun with his fingers. I must say, during Obama's press conference, I kept hoping one of those little boys would do that. It didn't happen. Of course, they're all brainwashed. But I think my guess is that Obama has actually gone too far. I think the government has gone too far. The whole government media complex, I think, has taken a step too far by doing what they're doing. And, of course, this constant media propaganda and bombardment, similar to what the old Soviet days when they or something out of 1984 or Nazi Germany when they were demonizing somebody. I don't think it's working. Everybody was sort of taken aback. Of course, we're horrified by the crime that took place, as we should be horrified by all, for example, the little Muslim children killed in Afghanistan. Very few Americans care about that, of course. There have been children, the U.S. government is killing children every day all over the world, and nobody cares. But I think by going after gun ownership like this, by being so openly a dictator, I don't think, Alex, despite all you've done, I've done, Ron Paul, talk about executive orders over the year, does the average American realize the president can just legislate by fiat like that, like he's the pharaoh or the king? I don't think so. So this is waking people up. Everybody's concerned. Everybody's paying attention, both on the commissar side of the government and the big media and so forth, but the rest of the people. And also, more and more people are going to realizing that the power elites are, of course, all are themselves armed and have tax-paid, tax-supplied armed bodyguards. I think they stepped too far. I think everybody's waking up. I think they've made a mistake. I think this is all going to end in a black eye for the government. They actually need two black eyes. I think it's a huge step forward. It is connected to the entire liberty movement, as you point out. And when people realize this, then they're going to take a look at other areas of government encroachment. All the taxes they're increasing, the rotten Obamacare, which is also tied into gun control. John Rappaport has pointed out that the doctors are going to be instructed to ask, how many guns are in your home? We can bet that the public school teachers are going to be asking children, they already interrogate children on a whole range of things. Do your parents have guns? Are you scared of your parents' guns? What kind of guns do your parents have? So if anybody's concerned about what happened in Newtown, the answer to me is not to arm the school teachers, although, of course, school teachers, like anybody else, have the right to be armed if they want to. Take your kids out of the public schools. Secede from the public schools. That's the best thing you can do for your children, that you can do for your family. Send them to private school, or best of all, homeschool them. This doesn't happen in homeschools. It just happens in government schools. The old joke from when I was a boy, and much older than that, has come true. That is, the principals, the warden, the teachers are the guards, and the students are the prisoners. The public schools even look like prisons these days. They're going to be looking more and more like prisons. They're going to be more and more totalitarian, with all kinds of cops, armed cops, resource officers, and so forth, to propagandize them against guns, against their parents, just like Stalin trying to use the children against the parents. Get your children out of the public schools. Don't pretend that you can reform the public schools, because even if your children are physically safe, they're not mentally safe in there, because they're being indoctrinated with lies, with evil, with everything designed to make them never think critically, never think independently, bow down to the government, Go off and kill if the government asks you to. Give them all your money. Let them run your life. If you don't want your children indoctrinated in that kind of rotten stuff, bring them home. Teach them yourself.
Well, and you're right. And again, there are some public schools where there's good people in control, so it's overall not completely out of control. But in all the major cities, because I read the constant news and break it down, San Antonio, for 3 years now, they have Pentagon AI cameras in the bathrooms, in the hallways, and in the lunchrooms, quote, watching what the kids eat, and it even files how many calories. The AI knows that's a piece of fruit, that's a piece of meat. I mean, this is how high-tech it is. They're watching them. They make them wear RFID. And in California, even in Alabama and other areas, they're now giving inoculations without parental consent. That's a felony. And so let me ask you this question, Lew Rockwell.
They counsel children to have abortions, and you can't trust the public schools. Yes, there are some good school teachers, of course, good principals, yes, but they're targeted too. They're not in control. They're forced to go along with the federal curriculum. What's being taught in all the public schools is damaging to your children, even if they don't end up getting shot.
No, exactly. But the issue is, I want to ask you this, and I'm sure you know about this, but it went up on Infowars.com. I haven't even played the clip yet. We're going to play it in a moment. Let's get the Philadelphia mayor ready, please. And then we'll get Bob Schaefer and the rest of it. These are all some short clips, but they're important. Philadelphia mayor declares economic warfare on gun retailers. And they're saying, just like South Africa, we're going to boycott you. We're going to shut you down. We're going to pull funding. We're going to have the police harass you. They're literally like mafia saying, we're going to put weight on you. We're going to lean on you. And Chucky Schumer says he's calling stores saying, just don't sell it or you're not going to like what happens. And people say, well, that's not going to happen. I've talked to gun shop owners in Austin who were scared to go on air, where the ATF has come in. They're really rude to them. They're mean. I've been around them before at the gun show. I've had ATF walk up and get in my face like they're God. They look like criminals out of Central Casting. And they're just coming in saying, yeah, get ready for some rule making. You're going to do what we tell you. And as soon as we get these documents, I'm also talking to a gun shop in California, because they're telling them there's going to be new rules. You're just not going to sell these outside of law. I mean, what do you do when the government goes full tyrant, full dictator?
Well, you mean as to what a poor gun store owner has to do? Of course, they depend on having the federal firearms license, which itself was a horrendous intervention, like all the gun controls ever starting in 1934. In fact, the federal government has been encroaching on gun rights. So, you know, the government can take their livelihood in a second. That, by the way, is the position the government like to have us all. They'd like you, Alex, to have a license, and if you don't comply, they take your license. So this is the way they're moving. But I think, you know, can you respond with violence when the BATF agents come into your store? I don't think you can. They're going to murder you. So I think, you know.
But can you believe we've gotten to the point?
You can intellectually resist them. I don't think the answer for a gun store owner is to, you know, to resist physically. They'll kill you.
Exactly. But I don't think people understand. We're getting to the point now where they're on the news, I'm going to play some clips of this, saying we're Nazis and that the president must wage a war against gun owners like the presidents did before against Hitler. And there's like this worship by the collectivists of Obama. They're not just acting like they worship him. They really get off on the power of the state. They really get off on the idea that the president can do anything.
Well, government is always in competition with God. They would like to displace God. They look back to ancient Babylon or Egypt or whatever, those regimes where the government actually was God. I mean, that's their ideal. They don't like religion. They don't like God. That's why Obama made himself a religious figure at that Newtown, took over the parents' grief and just tried to put all the attention on himself, on the alleged first responders, of course, the no responders as usual, and onto the government and worship the government, worship me as the God King. Sure, of course, that's right. The government would like to be God. I mean, so they're always in competition. They don't like religion. That's the way they are. It's another reason we have to hate and fear the government. The government is the worst. The state is mankind's worst earthly enemy. Always has been. It's what tyrannizes us, taxes us, starts all these wars, in cahoots, of course, with big corporations. And so we have to mentally toughen ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. We have to talk to others. We have to withdraw our consent and refuse our consent and don't obey these people to the extent we can safely get away with it, they can't actually, because they are a minority and the oppressed are the vast majority, they can't actually enforce this stuff on us if we refuse. And again, it's why I think they've gone too far this time. I think the American people are going to refuse if people like you and the rest of us keep counseling them about this and about what the consequences are if we just go along and just salam Obama. So I actually think this is going to be a good development. As horrendous as all this stuff is right now, as horrendous, and talk about Obama accuses people like you of trying to gin up fear. That's all he does every day. Oh, the terrorists under the bed, or Al-Qaeda's in Yemen, or what? I mean, or there's going to be a bombing. There's going to be all these phony terrorist incidents here at home. That's the government. The government lives by ginning up fear, and therefore wanting people to turn over their lives.
Well, think about this. Our founding fathers and history and common sense has shown fear of big government. That's what America's all about. Keep it small. Look at the prosperity. Instead, they're like, oh, there's people saying fear the government and that the government might want to do something bad. No, we're just the biggest killers in history, trampling all your other rights, NDAA, into habeas corpus, warrantless wiretapping, secret torture camps discovered. Obama promised to never take our guns, but now we're lying because we say they want our guns to oppress us. I mean, it just is incredible that they're doing this. Look at some of the Infowars.com headlines. Mayor predicts Waco-style standoff in response to Obama gun confiscation. Gun permit forms question possible affiliation with anti-government organizations. Oh, that's the new forms. You see, oh, the terrorists are those libertarians. Mississippi governor vows to block Obama gun orders. Philadelphia mayor declares economic warfare on gun retailers. Just in a video, New York Democrats plan for gun confiscation. Well, there's video. I haven't even gotten to that. Lou, let me play this clip of the Philadelphia mayor saying we're going to go after the gun shops. Here it is.
Philadelphia was one of the first pension funds to divest from companies doing business in South Africa. We saw that movement go all across this country. In virtually every big city and other cities in America, some states and other investment fund managers took action. Cities, schools, and other organizations can influence important societal change with their investments. Americans have economic power in how we choose to spend our money.
All right, let's stop right there. It gets worse.
I must say, I think this is a great thing. I hope government sells all its gun stocks. It means that for those of us who want to buy them, they'll be cheaper. So why should government own stock anyway? What the hell is the mayor, what the heck is the mayor of Philadelphia doing owning stock at the expense of the taxpayers?
Well, that was my...
that's an outrage. Forget it, Mr. Mayor. But it's again a reminder that government is a liar, is an oppressor, and everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie or a threat. You look at the bottom of your parking ticket. They're threatening your life, put you in jail, and so forth. This is government. It's Thugs Incorporated. Don't compare it to the mafia. They're far worse than the mafia.
You're right.
Mafia is not all bad. I mean, they supply services people want to have that are outlawed by the government. They have an unfortunate means of enforcement.
No, you're right. They are historically better than the government. But I mean, let's see. I mean, there's nothing worse. Let's expand on this because you're absolutely right. This is what Eisenhower warned about, where at his time, 86% of all scientific funding was government steered by DARPA. Now it's over 92%. Last time I checked, MIT put out a report last year bragging about it. 92% directed by these guns. And now they take our tax money, invest it, and now they're going to use our money in the market to try to wreck businesses that supply services we want. I mean, these people are incredible.
Thanks for bringing this up, because think of how much poorer we are as a society, and in terms of good inventions and new companies and so forth, that all this scientific and engineering talent is taken out of the market, producing goods and services for the people, and diverted into making bombs and poison gas and all kinds of weapons of mass destruction and drones and just methods of killing people. I mean, they're part of Murder Incorporated. So the fact that these tens of, maybe hundreds of thousands of smart engineers and scientists are, again, taken out of the market where they could produce things and make our lives better and themselves make a good living from it, and put into this killing operation. What an outrage. What a disaster. So the government doesn't only oppress us in terms of our rights and our
steals our brain trust.
It makes us much poorer. We're much poorer because of the activities of the federal government. All its wars, its police state, its spying, its interventions, it's corporate state subsidization, it's fascist economic system with the big banks and the big corporations. It's taking the average Americans going like that to them.
Lou, I know an inventor.
Enjoy doing.
I know an engineer and an inventor who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I'll just leave it at that. And he talked about since the 70s, he's an old guy now, a lot of incredible inventions that were made at big companies he was running as top technologist, that the government would come, like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, take it under executive power, like you're not allowed to develop this,
right,
and pay them and then go shelve it. So they're also holding back our civilization.
That's right. Exactly, Alex, you're exactly right.
It is incredible. Lew Rockwell, LewRockwell.com is our guest. Got a couple more clips with him in the next segment where they say that, gun owners are like Hitler. We've got to defeat Hitler, and more coming up. Stay with us. We got 2 short segments left with Lew Rockwell, and he and I are literally chomping at the bit, jumping over each other to fight for liberty, because it's so disgusting to watch mafia, opportunist, insider trading criminals use these little kids and then sit there lecturing us that we're bad in the pro-gun lobby. It's never the Second Amendment. It's never the individual. It's that we're bad and we're Klan members. We're murder enablers. I'm going to play a Bob Schaefer clip where he talks about our presidents have defeated, Hitler and gotten the Civil Rights Act, and we can defeat the gun lobby. I mean, it's a whole new level of this. I mean, is it just that I'm getting older and less, where I can't put up with this anymore, Lew Rockwell? Or is it that it's getting worse? You've been fighting these guys for 4 decades. I mean, is it getting worse, or is it just that we're becoming more aware of their disgusting activity?
Well, it's both. They're getting worse, and we're getting more outraged by it and more dedicated to fighting it. But my guess is nobody listening to this show has ever bombed a party of children collecting firewood in a rural area. Obama has done that. How many? He's actually killed a bunch of children, and yet he's authorized the drone strikes that killed these children in a number of instances, wedding parties and so forth. So he's actually killed children, and he's lecturing us about killing children. The hypocrisy has got a capital H, and it's all in neon letters.
Well, you're right, and that's what's so incredible is that they just say, oh, we bombed a wedding, killed 154 in one case, and about 18 children died, 4 or 5 others, critically wounded. But it's like, that's collateral damage, move forward. But then, oh, these children, turn your guns in. It's so fake.
It is fake. They couldn't care less, but of course, as Rahm Emanuel says, never let a good crisis go to waste. And so they use any crisis to try to expand the government, expand its income, expand its control, and they try to make us more obedient, more kowtowing. Again, I think if we do our job and thousands and thousands of other people do their jobs, this is not going to work this time. They're not actually going to get away with it. It's going to backfire.
It's already backfiring. 10 million guns a month now, up from 4 million. Let's play a clip of Bob Schaefer. And this is nothing, folks, compared to the longer thing with Mika Brzezinski, where she goes, I'm just ashamed to be an American right now. I mean, what? Because we have guns. Well, get out then. Go to North Korea. Here's a clip of Bob Schaefer. I want to get Lew Rockwell's response.
What happened in Newtown was probably the worst day in this country's history since 9/11. We found Osama bin Laden. We tracked him down. We changed the way that we dealt with that problem. Surely finding Osama bin Laden, surely passing civil rights legislation as Lyndon Johnson was able to do, and before that, surely defeating the Nazis was a much more formidable task than taking on the gun lobby. This is a turning point.
All right, that's enough of that idiot. And he's not even an idiot. I mean, what a slimy little creature the government got in the way of beating Hitler with all the bid rigging and stealing. It was my grandfathers and people that beat Hitler. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, Bob Schieffer, of course, has gotten rich and powerful off doing whatever the government told him to do. So he's just like somebody on Nazi radio or Soviet radio. He's just a shill. There is one interesting thing, if you notice, when he talks about the government, he says we. So it's just a reminder of it's so important for us to never say we when we mean the government. The government is they. It's a separate entity, lives off of us by force. It's a parasitical entity that keeps a gun to our head, speaking of guns. I mean, everything the government does involves a gun. If you don't do what we say, if you don't pay the taxes, you don't pay this library bill or whatever.
Exactly.
We claim the right to kill you if you sufficiently resist. That's the government.
Do one more segment with us. 5 more minutes. We got to go to break. LewRockwell.com. Okay, the whole clip is up on Infowars.com. It's also over at Newsbusters. They're the ones that originally posted it. And I can't play the whole thing. Lew's got to go in 5 minutes, and it's about a 5-minute clip. They play the NRA ad. First they go, this is pornography. This is propaganda. This is evil. This discredits the NRA on the Morning Joe show. And then they play the NRA going, hey, the government people, they've got armed bodyguards. Why don't we? And they take their glasses off and they go, he goes, I can't believe this. His poor children fight hard and had no choice. And Mika goes, I'm just ashamed to be an American right now. I'm ashamed. And again, this is very effective. That's why they go, oh, this discredits, hoping we don't go down this line. It is incredibly transparent. I want to play part of this clip. And again, you got to watch the whole thing. It's unbelievable, the bad acting. Again, they run from this. Oh, don't say Israel has guns. None of the citizens do over there. You're a liar. Of course, we pay to give the Israelis guns. Again, because they're so scared of this thing that government and bureaucrats and rich people have guns. Because they use class warfare. The ultimate populism is the average person with a gun. Let's play the clip and get Lew Rockwell's take. Here it is.
That's a real ad.
Yeah.
That's a real ad.
Political pornography.
That's one of the grossest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's George Washington.
What's wrong with these people, Mika?
What's wrong with
these people?
Mika.
You have children that had no say in the decision on whether their father was going to step forward.
Her father, by the way, writes books bragging about how he helped put Pol Pot in. Lew Rockwell, we got 2 minutes left. You've got the floor. Your take on that?
Well, obviously, these Mika and Joe are themselves protected by armed bodyguards, but they do, my guess is this really does upset them because they don't like this sort of thing being made public, that the power elite is, of course, got guns. They all have carry permits. I'm sure Mika and Joe have got carry permits. Certainly, they've got armed bodyguards. Just like they believe that the law doesn't apply to them, it's only to be applied against us. So this is the nature of they're part of the power elite, or they're spokesmen for the power elite. And of course, they're outraged that anybody would discuss their privileges and their special rights and the fact that they can live differently than the rest of us. So it's all the more important to point out not only that these people are doing bad things politically, but they're personally ripping us off, and they're all surrounded by guns. Obama's surrounded by guns. His children's school has got a bunch of armed guards, and of course they have armed guards all the time. Bloomberg has got armed guards all around him, and Obama just signed a bill giving himself and George W. Bush armed guards for the rest of their lives, 24/7. So it's okay for them to have armed guards, but the people can't have armed guards. So this is government. It's a separate entity. And it's an outrage to do anything but bow down and kiss their shoes. I mean, that's what Mika's upset about. And you're exactly right. Her dad deliberately helped lure the Soviets into Afghanistan, causing many, many deaths. He promoted mass murder in Vietnam and the coming of Pol Pot. Pol Pot was put.
Oh no! He put in his book. He bragged,
and the rest of them.
He brags. He brags in his book, Lew. I'm sure you know about how great Pol Pot did. I mean, it's incredible.
You know, the U.S. government in the Vietnam War killed between 4 and 6 million people, says the great military historian Martin Van Creveld. Between 4 and 6 million people just in that one war. They don't have their names on any wall in Washington. So this is the government knee-deep in blood, killing people every day, and lecturing us about the dangers of violence.
Well said, Lew Rockwell. Thank you. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.